Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the 7th episode of Switched On. We're a little disjointed. We're a little chaotic here. I just moved house. Trip doesn't ever sleep. Joseph, you missed
I got 1 hour. 1 hour. Yeah.
Yeah. It works out. But we have been playing games. I'm about to travel to Europe. There are new Joy-Con. There's a new Pokemon that we do need to make sure we address, and then some of your questions. So we will get straight into it. Shorter show today, lots to do, time crunch, you know how it goes. I'm going to Denmark. I don't know if they play Switch in Denmark. Do we think that
they play Switch everywhere? They have to. They have to. I honestly have no idea. I don't know what the what the demographic is there. It's only the PlayStation. It's only the PlayStation Vita in Denmark. That's all they.
Ooh.
That's it.
No, it's the PSP Go, the one with like the pop-up screen.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Sure.
Did you see that yo that popped up over your face? That was really cool. Yeah. No, over Trip's face. It was like
I was half asleep, honestly. Like I said, 1 hour sleep.
Yeah, it's just who knows what's happening over there. No, I'm going to Denmark to check out some Lego stuff, and then I'm going to Paris. I just want to count the Switches I see and the Joy-Con. You know what I should do? Too bad they don't have more regional exclusive Joy-Con. Then I could have like a Joy-Con trading party. Like I could go and be like,
ooh, that'd be cool.
Who wants an orange? And maybe they have like a Parisian gold or something, and we can make a swap.
Dang, that's rad.
Yeah, I actually think, is Japan the only place that has had exclusive like Joy-Con? Because I know that they've had like I got my Mario Odyssey Joy-Con from them, that like really deep red.
That's here too.
And then that came here? Yeah. Oh, when I got it, I think I got it before. I guess before
they may have had it standalone there. It came here with the console.
Oh yes, yeah. I got it standalone.
In like a pack.
Yeah, it was just the regular. Yeah, and then I know like they have obviously they have special Switches in Japan, but I don't know if they do that anywhere else. They should, but of course, obviously,
because they have the reverse Splatoon 2 pack in Japan, the mirror pack, and then they have the DQ11 like bundle that has like the different blue. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Europe has gotten anything. They also have the Tsum edition coming to Japan.
I know, which looks so nice. It's such a pretty system.
What's your favorite of the new two? The orange and purple, or the blue yellow kind of?
I mean, I think it's got to be.
Is that correct?
Yeah, it's blue, and the yellow's old, so it's got to be the purple and the orange.
Yeah, it's fresh, dude. It's so fresh. I love it. And like I said, it's just it's just Halloween. You know, it's perfect. It fits the season. It's getting me spooked. You know.
Man,
I'm terrified just looking at them. Yeah,
I lucked out because Walmart put them out early. And then the guy gave me like the regular gray Joy-Con on sale, and he gave me the $69.99 price for the new one. So I was like, "Oh wow, okay, sounds good, man.
Yeah,
probably not supposed to do that, but it's okay. Thank you very much. Joy-Con are expensive, so I'll take the.
They really are.
I'll take the cut. No, it's there's also like the green Luigi ones coming out at the end of the month, but like those have been out, so it's just a double green pack. If you want to prep
double
for
green.
But
for all you guys out there who only have one green, and you're like, man, I wish I'd have got two. Now's your chance. Well, actually, you'll have three, I guess, if that's your specific.
Or if you have a Switch Lite, then you can now just have two extra green Joy-Con.
Exactly.
I was doing this weird thing where I was like, okay, well, what would it be like if the Switch Lite could take Joy-Con? Wow, teal and orange. That's a really nice combo. I like that a lot. Like, ooh, teal and purple. That's looking pretty good right there. But sadly, that's not a thing.
Alas.
It just looks like this random burst of color on the side of an already colorful system. But
did you guys see the fat Joy-Con? There's a patent that Nintendo was like experimenting with fat Joy-Con before the Switch, and they were much wider. I'm gonna pull up a picture and show you guys.
Yeah, okay. That's bizarre. I did see that the patent that I think it was recently with the bendable Joy-Con.
Yeah,
the one that had like the notches.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very bizarre, but I mean I could see it working. I just think the first thing I thought when I saw that was like the Switch is already kind of a clunky thing. Like it's nice, but it does have that like clunky feeling. So imagine now you also could bend.
Nintendo loves their hinges though. Remember like the old DS
they really do.
Where it's like they love that. Okay, so here we go. Some great camera skills here. This was a patent they filed for wide Joy-Con.
Lot wider, yeah.
And then Let's Go Digital, who does a lot of like modeling based on patents. It's this picture right here of what it looks like. Big fat Joy-Con.
That looks dorky.
Dude, that's gonna be the XL, man. That's the Switch Max.
That's like
I hope not.
That's like the Dumbo of Switch systems. You know, it's got the big old ears.
Yeah, speaking of Disney editions, I like that a lot.
Nice. Because you're going to Disney Paris, so that's right up your alley.
Paris. Yeah, I'm gonna take the Switch Lite, and I don't know why. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people playing Switch Lite. Like in my head, I'm like, maybe they'll bring the Switch Lite to Disneyland Paris. They freaking play it all the time.
You're the first one, yeah.
The first person in France to Switch. Yeah.
First recorded one. That's all that matters.
Here comes Christopher Switch Lumbus bringing over his Switch to the new country.
Oh man, what is that?
It's a magical handheld Nintendo device. What have you guys been playing on your magical handheld Nintendo devices? Anything new and exciting?
Just more Goose Game for me. That's Goose about Game. It. I mean, yeah, and then some more of that like little Link Hook looking game that I'm suddenly blanking on. Dude, I had 1 hour of sleep. This is not a good
blanking game.
The one that you talked about last podcast,
Legend
right?
of the Windfish.
Skyfish.
Yeah.
The Windfish.
Skyfish. Yeah. I just played.
Oh, what Skyfish?
I was like Flint Hook, Stranded Sails. What do we got going on?
I just played Link's Awakening too, so I'm getting all the names mixed up. It sounds so similar to anyway, the Windfish. Skyfish, yeah. But that game's it's fun. It's a good killer of time. What about you, Joseph? Hopefully something more exciting than that.
No, actually, I did pick up Goose Game.
Okay, cool. So you've been playing it. Nice. Yeah. What'd you think?
I love that game.
Yeah.
I love it so much. I think it's really cool, and I think if anybody has any doubt about picking it up, but they want to, I say go for it. It's a lot more open ended than I thought. Me and my friend actually bought it at the same moment, and
in the store at the same time.
Playthroughs. Yeah, we were on the eShop at the same time.
Oh, nice.
And we just we started our playthrough and we went completely different routes, and that was one of the coolest things to see happen.
Nice.
So that was cool. I'm also playing, I mentioned it in the last podcast that I was hyped for it, and I did end up picking it up. The new Gun Vault game. It has some crazy name like the Luminous something. It's super Japanese and anime inspired, so I don't know what they're trying to name it, but it is a Gun Vault game, so it plays very much like Mega Man X, but a lot faster and a lot more fun. It's just a super good time. It's one of the first games that I felt like okay, this reminds me of old Game Boy Advance games, or it feels like I don't know, it feels like a handheld game, but it's so much better than what we could have done at the time. So it was a really cool experience to play through that. I'm almost done with it. So I've been playing that. And then also a weird thing I just wanted to say, have you guys played that new Contra game at all? I didn't pick it up, but I downloaded the demo for some random reason, and I thought I was going to highly regret it. That game is ridiculous.
Good? Ridiculous good?
I wouldn't say ridiculous good. It's just so over the top. There's literally, so I'm playing the demo. It doesn't play like any Contra game. It's kind of a twin stick shooter a little bit. But there's it's so over the top, dude. It's I don't know if you guys have played any of old Contras, but the bombs that clear the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So so if it's too tough, you press that. If you pick one up and then you clear the screen, they have that, and it's so over the top. The dude shoots a missile, jumps up, grabs onto it, and then aims it down and throws it. And there's a time where you pick up a tank and you think the guy is going to use it as a bat, but he just kits it into a group of dude. It's ridiculous. And then I saw the reviews for it, because I'm wow, I kind of had fun with this. The reviews for it were all 4s and just
it got panned.
Everybody's saying and it doesn't look good. I will say that right now. It reminds me of 2007 when everything was very muddy looking and brown, and that was it, which is kind of upsetting. But I thought it was. Honestly, I really thought it was fun.
Cool.
It's a dumb game though, so I don't know if I recommend it. But yeah. But
dude, any game where a guy runs and picks up a tank and then chucks it at people, I mean that's got its own entertainment value. So I guess where else can you find that? That's pretty cool.
Exactly.
Maybe it's worth a try.
Yeah. Well,
would you?
At least the demo.
Maybe.
Would you though watch a 24-hour live stream of the Contra jungle?
Oof. Oh, man.
That sounds familiar. I feel like I've done something similar to that recently.
Why would anybody do that? That's so dumb.
24 hours of the Galarian forest, and I mean, I knew it wasn't going to be crazy. Like, I knew it wasn't like, oh, out walks Ash, and he's like, here are all the evolutions. But
here's everything.
I guess I thought there would be more than like a tease of a Pokemon and maybe a cry. Like,
why would you think that, Zach? Why would you even think that?
Well, yeah, I know. After the last Direct, I really shouldn't. But, I mean, Galarian Ponyta looks really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I honestly, I think it was a really cool way to do it. Like, it was a smart idea, and I liked the kind of like, oh, tune in and you might see something. But it is like every like 30 minutes, maybe something happened, and the fact that it all led up to just one Pokemon, like, it is kind of like, I'll give them leeway, but like, come on, like, only one new Pokemon for 24 hours? That was a little, definitely a little disappointing. Obviously, Galarian Ponyta looks fantastic, but it was a little disheartening only seeing bushes like wiggle for like 90% of the 24 hours.
I think the worst part, like the worst part about it is that I get they were trying to like make it feel like an actual field research, like because in reality, if you're doing something
you're
like
not gonna
that,
see
you're not going to see
wait
anything.
12 hours and get nothing.
Yeah, and you might, whatever. But like, this is a video game. It's a video game, and nobody watched that full 24 hours.
No.
There's no possible way. And if they did, I'm so sorry that they did.
Oh, there were people that streamed it all day, so some people were watching.
See, that's
it all day,
terrible.
but,
Yeah, that's terrible. And like, look, I mean, you guys know this. I'm sure anybody who watches the podcast knows by this point. Like, we're pretty big Pokemon fans, and especially Sword and Shield. I think we actually back it up more than most people. Like we've
absolutely. I stan it. 100%.
Yeah, but the moment they announced this 24-hour thing, I was like, I am not ever going to step into that. I'm not even going to look at it. So I don't even know what it looked like. I don't know what it sounded like. I literally didn't care. And then I heard that Ponyta got a Galarian form, and I saw it, and I was like, that looks awesome. And I'm so happy I didn't stare
and
at
honestly,
trees.
that's really all you needed. Otherwise, it was just, Impidimp showed up. He had a cute little...
I heard that, so that's good.
Cute little moment where... Yeah,
he's not dead.
Still there.
Yeah.
You might be surprised to learn that Pikachu is going to be in the game. Pikachu walked through. Yeah,
he made it.
That was probably the biggest surprise of the.
I love that it's like back to back, like complete opposite ends of the spectrum. Okay, like we can announce Surfetched with one blurry image. That's like minimal effort, and then like maximum effort. We're gonna do a 24-hour live stream where we like animated this little jungle forest area, and then you get a Pokemon. So they were just testing both ends of the spectrum. Really, like one team was like, no, reveal a Pokemon, draw a little picture. And one team was like, we could do this whole event. And they're like, okay, both you go and see what the people like better.
Which one? Yeah. It's weird though. I'm not seeing like a lot of people are obviously looking at Game Freak and Nintendo and being like, why did you greenlight this? But also, I feel like it's not as like universally panned as I thought it would be.
I think
like there are still people. Yeah, there are still people who are like, no, that was a cool idea. And like, again, for someone who didn't wait, I think the bigger problem is the expectation side of it. Is like, I think a lot of people thought that we were going to see like multiple, like maybe we're going to see the evolutions. Maybe we're going to see like something crazy.
At the very least, people were expecting multiple reveals, something, not just one. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, and another weird thing is the one reveal that we really got is a Pokemon that already existed. So like, again, great. It's so awesome to know
that one is kind of a problem with the whole just everything in general. Like, I feel like they know so well that people like are mainly excited for like first gen Pokemon, second gen Pokemon, and so like it's even the same thing that Sun and Moon had. Like a lot of like the kind of big reveals were like, oh, we've got Alolan forms, and like I feel like this is no different. Now it's like we've got Galarian forms, and which makes sense. It like kind of plays on nostalgia and you get to see new versions of old Pokemon. But there is kind of a stigma, I guess, if you are a longtime Pokemon fan, that's kind of like, well, this isn't really that new. It's just a fresh coat of paint, But at the same time, I like my fresh coat of paint, and I think Ponyta deserved it, so I'll take it. I'm kind of hoping that maybe Ponyta is the Shield exclusive, because we've got Surfetched as the Sword exclusive. I really hope there's a cool one to match that. I don't know. Maybe it's Ponyta would make sense. So that would be cool.
Yeah, That would be cool. And yeah, like you said, I think Ponyta is like a really cool Pokemon.
Oh, absolutely.
Was already like out of the original one.
Was already super cool.
Already one of the coolest designs. Yeah. So now you're just like,
and now you get this maybe fairy, cool... maybe ghost horse. You know, either way, that's pretty rad. My money's on fairy because a lot of the other Pokemon they showed were fairy, but everyone was coming to the conclusion that it was ghost, and I was like, it's literally got like multiple colors. That's a very like fairy type.
Yeah. Plus, I heard that like people are speculating because they were like looking at the map and stuff that area is next to where the fairy gym might be.
Yeah.
So yeah, and like you said,
pretty rad.
Impidimp was there. Impidimp is fairy dark or something like that. So, you know, I can see that being the thing. Also, how do you guys feel about that gym?
Yeah,
18 gym badges.
That's important. That's actually a big one.
It's super confusing. Even with their clarification, one, I think it's so weird that they had to clarify. But even their clarification to me still makes no sense because initially they said, "Oh, there are 18 gyms and there's a major league and a minor league, and all the gyms are there, but which ones are major and which ones are minor will be different in the different games." Then they come out and say, no, there's only 8 gyms. But in that clarification quote, they still say there's major and minor leagues. And they say the 8 gyms of the major league, there's 8 gyms of the game, also minor league. So
it doesn't make sense. So like in my understanding, at least the way they clarified it, it makes it sound like so for everyone's game, are we getting different? Like are things like slightly different?
The way I'm taking it is that it's gonna be 8 different gyms in Shield, and it's going to be 8 different gyms in Sword. Because that's the only way that any of this makes sense. Like, when they said they had 18 gyms, I was already like, I guarantee that can't be a thing just because... I don't know. It sounds too good to be true. And then also it was like too close to the exact number that is double every other game we've gotten, 16, 18. It was like, okay, maybe there's 9 gyms in each game and they're just like revealing something really bizarre here with the major minor leagues. My thought is just that if they have that many gyms, then it means that, we're going to get 8 or 9 gyms in Sword, and then we're going to get 8 or 9 different gyms in Shield. And then since they're major minor league, I feel like the minor thing is just going to be a bit more of like a lore thing. Like, like the minor league in this area would be this, but it's different seasons. So I feel like I don't know. I don't know if this is accurate, but my thought is maybe upon release it'll be that there are 8 specific gyms to Sword, and they're going to be totally different for Shield. But they can talk about the minor leagues, and they said that they'll cycle or something. So maybe eventually then on Sword, you'll get to play the Shield gyms, but in a different light. I don't know. Something like that. I feel like maybe that's what they're going for.
Yeah, like I could say maybe post-game.
Yeah,
I can see it switching up. Because like, if they are going a season, because they are really leaning into the sports side of it, which is honestly I thought was really cool. But you made a good point that, and it's the biggest thing for me that's been bothering me is it's 18. So, like, if it is...
It's not even like they added 2 gyms. That would be, like, literally double the gyms they've ever... So that seems too hard to believe, but...
Yeah, like you said, they would have to be 9 gyms each. So, are we getting 9 gyms? Like, did they, like, leak that there's a 9th gym? I don't know.
That's kind of my thought.
Because what would we do with those 2 gyms? Let's say the Sword and Shield did have completely different gyms, which I don't think that it's that big of a deal, but... Let's say they did, right? That's only 16, so there still are those 2, I guess, random throwaways. And, like, where would they fit in? Like, what is, what's that? So, I don't know. It's really bizarre. And, again, the number 18 stuck out immediately. Even when it first started coming out that they were saying stuff like that, where it just didn't make sense, where these things were coming from.
The initial quote is there are 18 different types of gyms in the story, and depending on the version, which gyms are in the minor league and which gyms are in the major league are different.
Yeah.
So, 18 gyms is 1 per type. That's like the thought process there.
Yeah.
And then they come out and clarify and say that no, there are each version will have 8 gyms and 8 gym leaders that trainers can battle for a traditional gym challenge experience that fans have enjoyed throughout the Pokemon video game series. So my thinking is that this is a lot of semantics. I wonder if they're going to have, so you get 8 gyms in Sword and 8 gyms in Shield. And like you said, Zach, maybe they are all different. But then the other leaders are there as like, oh, we're currently shuffled out to minor league status, but you can still come challenge us, but it's not technically a gym, but like, oh, if you're playing Pokemon Sword, you can still go fight Alistair. He just happens to be
honestly, that would be my hope. I think that would be really cool if maybe they're just like this small like side area that it's a minor league and there's not like as many trainers. It's mainly just the gym leaders, but you can challenge them as well. Like that would be really cool.
Honestly,
I almost still feel like that's too exciting and too much.
But then why
but
tell
that
us...
would be my hope. Yeah, I don't know. That would be really cool.
And then even still, where do the other 2 come in? Because 8 + 8 is not 18.
Exactly. That's the big thing. Because the only thing I can imagine is it would have to be some post-game stuff. First off, if they allow us to still battle...
I think the 18 was a mistake, and I think it's 9 gyms. Honestly, I think there's a 9th gym, but I think they mistakenly like said 18, and then now they're like kind of backtracking. Because in the report, I remember reading something that was like, it'll be basically 8 gyms just like it's been before, but they didn't like straight up say it'd be 8 gyms, so I kind of feel like they maybe messed up, and like it is 9 gyms. So either way, we're getting like a 9th gym, which is pretty cool. But
the thing that I think is like taking a few steps back. So let's say there are 18 gyms. There are 18 unique gym leaders. I feel it would be a complete waste of time and like development power if they did this and they weren't relevant in both games somehow. So I find it really hard to believe that we won't challenge the minor league at all. I think there's a huge possibility that in some aspect we will have to deal with the minor league, or we can if we want to.
I think you're right. I think they're just being goofy with the wording because they say over the course of the main story, trainers will challenge 8 gyms, which are all in the major league. Which gyms appear in the major league and minor league will differ between the versions. So like it's like they're being facetious by saying like, 8 gyms in the major league. Also, which gyms you challenge in the major league versus the minor league will be different. So like there must be minor league gyms that they're just like not trying to say.
What is it?
Exactly. That's the question is what is the relevance to the minor league and why does it matter which is in the major league?
Okay. What about this? What about this? There's no Elite Four. There's no Elite Four in this game.
Face the minor league.
So the minor league is the gyms. That's the actual gyms you're facing, and then maybe the major league in that game actually ends up being your like. But
they're telling us that the 8-story gyms are the major league.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's the thing that's hard.
Yeah, but they've also been facetious about everything else, so maybe that's not true either.
maybe it's just post game content. What about like you beat the major league and like your story is complete, you get your little Pokemon league championship trophy, and then it's like then it opens up that like these other 8 gym leaders are now like you were saying like rotating in or whatever, and then they're not story 8 gyms because they have to have your little badge book that has 8 slots, and then you go face. I don't know. I think both of you. I think all of us are probably right. I think it's a combination of
in some way
they're being weird with their words. There actually are a bunch of gyms. It's post game content that they accidentally revealed don't want to. The numbers they're like crap. We're supposed to only say 8, but we said 18. Let's hope people forget. But I do think 1 per type is really cool. If there are 18 and you get 1 per type, that's like a huge step up.
That's so cool.
And
that's like always been a dream to have like every type gym, in the same game.
Yeah,
like
literally.
Well, and it makes Masuda's comments where he said that the reason we couldn't get all the Pokemon in is because we wanted to focus on gameplay. Like I will take some National Dex exclusions if I get 18 gyms. Like that's fine.
Yeah,
that's totally worth it.
Yeah, I think that's what this game is trying to do, and I think like a lot of people are having trouble with that, where like. What this game is sacrificing is, yes, the Pokemon that potentially a lot of people like or some people like, but at the end of the day, they're dipping their foot into things that they haven't done before. And yes, the Pokemon Company often brings things in and then takes it out like the next generation.
Sure.
But I mean, we're hearing things like this. We're hearing things like the autosave feature. We see the camping. We see all this stuff that like every game does now.
Yeah.
Every game has some type of, like the open world area. So like, yes, like you said, Zach, I 100% agree. I will take a hit in what Pokemon I could catch in this one game as long as they can figure out ways to further the series. And like,
absolutely.
I'm not gonna look at graphics and animation when I'm fighting 18 gyms. Like that's,
so many
I'll
gyms.
take that.
Who cares what their dances? So many gyms.
Exactly.
Okay, but all this talk of major and minor league, I think the only real important question is: does that mean we're gonna get Pokemon baseball? Is that happening?
I hope.
It happened in one episode of the anime. It was a good episode too.
I'm gonna say soccer is probably more of the thing that they're pushing with those jerseys.
Yeah,
I'll take
jerseys.
We need like a Final Fantasy X Blitzball style Pokemon soccer minigame.
I'd be so with that.
Dude, I would be
so
into that.
Kick the Pokeballs, and then your special attacks like pop the Pokemon out of the soccer ball.
That's something I've always wanted in Pokemon games, is like in the main series Pokemon games to like have like side kind of mini games and stuff that have Pokemon doing other things besides battling. I feel like sports, any of that stuff would just be so cool. That's not gonna happen in this game, but I'm just wish listing.
Well, we have the jobs though. Yeah. We do have the Pokemon jobs.
Soccer player could be a job.
Oh, I guess so. I guess you got a point. Maybe.
Let's talk about a job that another character has taken. Yooka-Laylee was the throwback to Banjo-Kazooie and collectathons, and it worked. It felt antiquated. Even though it was a modern era take, it still felt like it was stuck back in that era. But they switched jobs, and now Yooka-Laylee are trying to be Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze or any game in that vein. And man, are they much more successful at that job. That game is incredibly fun. I'm sure people have seen it reviewed insanely well. It is really, really, really cool. And it captures the vibe of a Donkey Kong or a modern era Donkey Kong type platformer so well. It's got the control and the production value, I feel, of a game that you'd be like, oh, if this was the next Donkey Kong, you'd be like, sure. I mean, it's not there 100%, but 93% of the way.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen, I've been looking up gameplay and reviews. It looks insanely fun. I love everything that it's brought, and I like that it's built upon what Country has already done. Mm-hmm. I haven't played it, but I mean, everyone says it feels great. It
does feel good. I can tell you that.
Yeah. So that's super exciting to see that they're.
And it feels like it's the right time for it. There's not really any other games currently that are taking up that space. So if you really are if you're a Donkey Kong, you love platforming, it's the game for it. I've seen footage and stuff so far, and it does look really cool. So
yeah. Well, and the small bit where they do let you go to the overworld and kind of push some blocks around or solve micro environmental puzzles or affect the level. So now you flood this level, so it's filled with water. That whole concept is executed really well. It does, you are going back to levels, so they're doubling, they get 40 levels out of 20 levels, but they are dramatically different. My only complaint with the game is it does not carry over the difficulty that we've come to expect from the recent Donkey Kong Country Returns and Tropical Freeze. In fact, there are no lives. You can just die infinitely if you wanted. Which... Does that really matter? Probably not. But I guess just in that kind of a game, you come to expect challenge to be married to consequence, and there really isn't any consequence here. In fact, there are a lot of ways that you can make the game easier. There's these tonics that you get that when you lose your partner character, the bat, it increases the amount of time you can grab her back and or grab him back and get your partner back. Or there's ways that just make it easier, I guess. The focus is on making it easier versus making it harder. I'll also note that I think a lot of my favorite parts of Donkey Kong Country since its inception are the platform, the jumping, the difficulty of jumping versus the difficulty of enemy navigation. And I will say that this game definitely focuses more on enemy navigation. Than it does on time jumps or really you got to roll. You do have to roll into jumps, so there is a lot of the same mechanics. But DK just kind of pushes you more. But that's not to say that this isn't fun, because it's absolutely great. I just was when it's that close, you're like, oh, why aren't there more jumping? Sections.
Maybe that's just their way of trying to differentiate it. Does it make it less fun? I don't know. I guess that's the question.
Yeah,
but,
collectibles
maybe
are
it's
cool.
Just a different version, So
yeah, the collectibles are cool. The characters are cool. I feel like I didn't love Yooka-Laylee the original, but I have familiarity with the characters, so it's cool to see how they have sort of redone their roles. What they did in the original game, the main game, and now what they do here are very close but fitting of this style. It's very, very, very cool. I have not finished it yet, but it's $30, and I feel like some people are going to be bothered that it's 30 instead of 20. But I will remind you that Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze was double that. So
it is 60. Yeah, and it's a game that was already on the Wii U. Yeah,
right. So with that in consideration, 30 feels great.
Feels pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think 30's. I think 30 is fine for it. That's exactly, from what I've seen, that's exactly what I would put it at. And apparently it lives up to what it looks like. So, yeah, 100%. I do think the one thing that has bothered me about it is the fact that there's no lives. Like, I get it. A lot of games have taken out lives, but not platformers. I feel like platformers, that's kind of the whole thing.
A weird
like
choice.
when Odyssey did it, that was smart. They went kind of the Dark Souls-esque route where you gotta, you lose coins. So whatever, fine. Like, you lose something, but not
so do you
lives.
just lose nothing
in
Yooka-Laylee?
You lose like your little like quills. I'm not sure. I think they're called quills. Like the little like pickups, like basically the coin equivalent.
Okay, so it's similar to that, yeah.
But like those are so plentiful. There's like a bounty of them. Like it's kind of doesn't feel like there's any consequence. There's also aggressive checkpointing, but I don't know. You could argue that that's what 2019 games do. So and Yeah. I don't want to be the person that's like bashing them for going too far back and not making it modern, and now they're going modern and like, no, we wanted it the old way where it's hard.
Maybe there's a consideration to take in here. There are players that just have challenge, like, gaming at all is a challenge for them.
Is that you?
And maybe I'm not saying me specifically, but people exactly like me, might find it more exciting to play a game where death like doesn't even come, and so they don't have to feel terror about their jumping skills, about their enemy dodging. So actually, maybe this is my game. This is in my vein.
Well, to
maybe I should check it out.
The way that they save the difficulty, I guess.
I like easy games, honestly. I'm not saying it's easy. I haven't played it, but yeah.
The first few hours are definitely easy, but they do bring in challenge because you can take on the impossible lair, which is in the title of the game, at any point, which is like the final level, the final boss.
So that I won't be checking out. I'll just make it up to that point. Okay, cool. Yeah.
But gotcha. So you get these, you unlock these little bees that then protect you, and the more levels you beat, the more bees you get to protect you that will help you in this final level. So you can, from the start with 0 bees, go and take on the impossible lair, or you can wait until you get what I guess is 39 or 40 bees or whatever, and then take it on with all of these extra shields and extra help. So that is where they do, I guess, allow for, if you wanted to be a super hardcore gamer guy or girl, then you could do it that way. And it's actually achievable, so you can, with perfection, beat it, which is, I think a cool thing for a platformer. I've never seen anything like that, where it's like, the final level is accessible from the beginning. It's just really tough.
That's cool.
It's also like a weird catch-22, because like, okay, I want to do that for the glory of like, I beat this super hard level, but then it's like, okay, then the game's over. Like, what? Okay, so I just robbed myself of all these cool levels. Like, it's just it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, I guess they're just banking on the fact that people are probably going to do that on a second playthrough rather than a first. I'm sure there's someone who did it. I'm sure there's someone who was like, I'm just going to put 40 hours into trying to beat this.
Right.
So the last level, is it like one long level?
Yes, I believe so.
And that's why you need the hits?
Yeah, and there's just so many enemies and so many obstacles. Like, you kind of go through it at the beginning, and it's like, oh, you have this bee shield. Everything is bumblebees. You have this bee shield from the queen bee, and then the bad guy bee takes all the little bees, so you don't have your bee shield, and you're trying to get the little bees back, because rather than keeping them all with him at his evil lair, he decided to put one per level in a glass container that you have to break.
Of course. Yeah,
of course.
Platformer logic.
It's super good though. I had high expectations for it. I don't think it's going to usurp Tropical Freeze at all, but it comes very close. And for being a non-Nintendo platformer in this vein, that is doing something different with the overworld, because DK, you're just moving on a board game, basically.
Yeah.
That I think it is much more of a home run than the initial Yooka-Laylee, and it's kind of neat to see that they took these characters and didn't just sequelize it, but utilize them somewhere else. Because we don't, outside of like the main Nintendo franchises, we don't get that very often. Of like, oh, it's a Hollow Knight strategy RPG, or oh, it's a I guess Shovel Knight tries to do that with like Shovel Knight Dig and Brawl or whatever. But most games don't, I guess, take enough pride in their characters or have the opportunity to take their characters across genres, which is definitely interesting. We've got some good questions from viewers like you. And we'll start with this one from Nifty MC, who says, when do you think the next Nintendo Direct will be?
That is a great question.
I'd imagine sometime around December.
You think it's going to be before the end of the year?
Well, okay, so the one thing that like is really preventing me from actually it's kind of a two-sided thing. My whole thing is like the net's kind of well, after Pokemon, obviously the next big Nintendo thing is Animal Crossing. So like I feel like we're either going to learn a little more about that, which obviously I don't know what else they're going to show, but they also spent like 10 minutes on it at E3 or whenever that was. I don't even remember.
That's actually what keeps me from thinking we're going to have a Direct anytime.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I the second side of that is like I can't imagine they're going to talk about anything until after Animal Crossing, because I don't think they would want to take away from, you know, like Luigi's Mansion comes out this month, Pokemon comes out next month, then, you know, the next big thing is Animal Crossing. So I don't know where, like, what else would fit, you know? Obviously we still have things up in the air like Metroid and Bayonetta 3, but I don't know when those are coming out, and I can't imagine they have too much to talk about now. So for me, it's either going to be like, I'd imagine either holiday time, just to maybe, I don't know, wrap some stuff up and then surprise us with one thing or a couple things, or it would be after March. I think that's the only two things I could imagine, but I don't know. It's so crazy. Like I feel like the September Direct is really the only one that we can really bank on most of the time. But yeah, that's where my head's at.
I know they've already given it so much time, but I think they need to give at least some more reveal for the Pokemon thing, especially since we talk about all these gyms and stuff. I feel like there's so many unanswered questions, but I don't think that's going to come in the form of a Direct. So yeah, I feel like we're not getting another Direct till at least like January or February or something. But maybe I would love to see one sooner.
Yeah, I think that Pokemon is clearly doing their own thing, 24-hour live streams. I don't know that we get a true Direct, because they just seem to be pushing out information in all sorts of styles. Maybe they do like a special presentation that's not called a Direct, but like, 15 minutes of, you know, to get you hyped for launch. I think there absolutely needs to be something before Animal Crossing. I think January or February, there absolutely needs to be a Direct, so that we don't think that next year includes a remake of Xenoblade, a port of Tokyo Mirage, and Animal Crossing, because there is nothing beyond that. And I think they need to lay the groundwork. And it kind of ties into this next question, which I'll just read off now. L. Vulgar says, with the majority of the year waiting for new consoles from Sony and Microsoft, and them coming out in the fall, how do you think 2020 is looking for the Switch? Will it build off 2019? And I think that Nintendo, they better set expectations early that they are coming to play with some major lineup, because they have had big year after big year. And even though this year felt a little odd, in reflection, Luigi's Mansion, Mario Maker 2, Pokemon Sword and Shield, it's a substantial year. There's a lot of good stuff here. What the heck are they going to bring out?
How are they going to top it? You know, how are they going to end this? And crazy enough, this is the year that they really have to top it. So I absolutely agree that we need some sure foundation quickly to show what are you going to do to combat the PS5, whatever Xbox ends up doing. So I think this is the year to do it. Like, I think before I thought that this was the year that they really had to shine, and they did. They pulled out a lot of stops, and they brought out a lot of big games. So, but yeah, now just knowing that the next consoles are coming out on the other systems, this is actually the year that they really, really have to bring it and show we have a foothold in this new market as well, not just in the past market. So I don't know. They do need to do some big reveals, and hopefully there's some games that they have around the corner that are going to match. So obviously we've got Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild 2, that's going to be a big deal. But other than that, what are you bringing to the table? So that's going to be tough.
Right. And all they need is teasers, whether it's a teaser for, I think you need a major summer game. I think you need a big fall lineup. And Breath of the Wild 2 has already been teased. So yes, that's going to be huge if they are able to hit a 2020 launch. But Metroid Prime is not coming anytime soon. That game basically just restarted. Bayonetta 3 is cool, but that's not going to make people want to get a Switch instead of an Xbox Scarlett or a PS5.
Yeah, I think Bayonetta is, and not just because of the developers, but I think it's the equivalent of what Astral Chain was. Yeah. It's definitely a good game. Bigger, it'll be a great game. Oh, definitely, because it has that reputation already. Honestly, like you guys have already covered, 2020 has to be big. They kind of have to bring something, because if they don't, it's just going to go right back to being the third talked about. I think the Switch has had a great, phenomenal run up till this point. I think it's always had something going on, and it's always been the most talked about system, whether for good or bad. It's kind of again, the most talked about. So yeah, I think they need something. I'm just worried that they have a lot of stuff ready. Like you said, Zach, they just need to put out teasers. I think they have a lot of good games that we know are in the works that we haven't seen yet. We know there could be a Pikmin. We know we can see something about Metroid. There's all these games. Exactly. I think that's the big problem though, is that there's so many maybes in what they could do that like, it's just, it could be anything. And I'm worried that like they may have loaded this year with too much. Like the end of this year for Nintendo has been ridiculous. I think it's been like,
but at the same time, I guess they have to know that though. I mean, no matter what, they knew that next year the other consoles are coming. So my hope is that maybe that's like telling. Maybe they were still able to pack this year with a lot because they hopefully have even more surprises next year. I don't know. Like that would be the hope. So
I think there's like 3 routes they go. The most exciting one is that they release a Switch Pro, and like they've been planning it and they're ready to go. The next most exciting is that they have this crazy lineup. They've got Mario Party 2 and Breath of the Wild 2 and Mario Strikers, and they've got some cool third-party partnerships. I also think there is a route that we need to prep for, which is that Nintendo's release of the Switch Lite this holiday season and the Luigi's Mansion, Animal Crossing, Fire Emblem, Pokemon lineup is them internally saying, hey, we don't want to compete with power. We don't want to compete with price. Yeah. Let's go smaller. Let's go cheaper. This is your alternate choice. You want to play some cool games on the go? And if that is the route that they've chosen to go, it is perfectly plausible that next year is a very slow year.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing leading towards that, and the reason why I'm looking more at it in that lens, is the Pokemon release this November. I feel like Pokemon is definitely going to be the biggest, especially with the Switch Lite coming out. I mean, that game's going to do insanely well, even with all the negative backlash it's done. It's going to
it'll do well into next holiday season for people that don't get a Switch this year.
100%.
It'll do well there. If you go to the store and like, $700 PS5 or $200 Switch Lite that comes with a free game now.
Exactly.
I wonder if like Zach kind of like or Trip.
It's okay. Yeah.
Kind of like you're saying.
Z-Trip.
What if they laid the groundwork this year and their thought was, hey, let's get ahead. Let's have a great fall 2019. That way, 2020 comes, we already have this user base, we already have this game base, and then all we got to do is put out a new color, or all we got to do is put out one game. And now you can, for $200, you can play Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild 1 and 2, Smash Bros, Bayonetta, Animal Crossing, and based on the last Direct, based on the 24-hour live stream, based on what I know about Nintendo, there is a chance that the aggressive burst is not being saved, but it already is happening. And if that's the case, then I think what's going to be really tough is just for the hardcore audience on Twitter, Reset Era, NeoGAF podcast, like, wow, Horizon Zero Dawn 2 looks incredible. Wow, Halo Infinite looks incredible. What's Nintendo got? Well, there's a new game from SteamWorld that looks awesome, and like that's great, but it's going to be a year where graphical power and new technological marvels is that the focus. And unless Nintendo has some crazy idea, I think that they may be going completely the other direction and not even like I think people kind of expect like they're gonna have tons of third-party support, they're gonna have a Switch Pro, they're gonna have tons of games, but they may internally already have like decided we're not competing in that space. That's not our space.
It's absolutely possible, and like because this year is so big, it would add credence to that. Maybe this was their year to be like, let's expand our user base this year because we know the next year it's going to be all about the new consoles. But we're not really trying to get into that game. Like we're not trying to compete in graphics. We are going to have a Switch Pro, etc. But yeah, maybe this year was just them laying the groundwork, trying to get as many new people on board as possible, and then next year will be more about just, I guess, further selling to the audience they've already gotten. Obviously, they're going to try to extend to get more people, but maybe next year is like, Switch Pro isn't really supposed to get a ton of new people on board. Maybe it's just intended for the people that are already the audience. It's going to be better graphics for that. Maybe they go super cheap. Maybe the Switch Pro is $200, and that's how they
just price drop everything.
Like, that's not going to happen.
We saved all our development dollars on games to just price drop next fall. That's what we got. But hey, what console can you play Ring Fit Adventure on? So who needs a PlayStation?
Say less.
That's it.
Who needs that? All right, let's go with couple quick hits. Volution says, which one of you is going to dress up as Luigi or Gooigi for Luigi's Mansion 3 on Halloween?
I called Gooigi.
Dang it. My girlfriend tells me that because we're in a house now that we have to dress up and pass out healthy treats. So I am TBD on my costume, but thank you for the ideas, Volution.
There you go.
This is a good one that we'll probably close out on here. Sky Paka says, "Yo, have you guys waited on any games that were announced for the Switch but have yet to come? I've been waiting for Skullgirls for a year. No luck. Cry, cry, cry."
Dude, Skullgirls, man, I still can't believe that game's not out. They really did announce that so long ago, and I think it was supposed to come out spring of this year, and it's like
nowhere to be seen.
Oof.
Yeah.
Where did that go?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's. I mean, one of the
main game for me is already finally coming out, and that's just Town, like Little Town Hero. I was waiting for that game for literally a year.
Right.
And like, I was just excited that they finally gave it a drop. Other than that, I'm blanking on, but that one for me is a big deal. I just can't wait to play that. So
yeah, soon too. I think it's October 16th, right? I think it comes out the day after Overwatch, which is why it's tough for me because I really want to pick up Overwatch.
You don't want to pick up Ring Fit Adventures on the 18th?
Oh no, definitely that one.
People seem to like that. I don't know. The previews are like, I don't know if it's just the people who previewed it, but they're all like, cool.
I mean, honestly,
it hit a demographic. It's not my demographic,
Sure.
but it's a demographic.
Demographic.
They hit it.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
I kind of want it just because it's such an interesting take. I like that it's a fitness game, but they went the RPG route.
Yeah,
that's
weird.
So bizarre to me. No, for me it would have to be, which luckily I don't have to wait anymore. Was Dragon Quest XI.
Yeah.
That game was announced before the Switch was. It was
the NX.
just the NX at the time. Yeah, and it took this long for it to come out. That is so insanely ridiculous. But it's a great game. It's so much fun, and it's my first Dragon Quest game. So I'm glad I get to play it on the go, and it's the beefier edition, which is awesome.
Did Red Lantern ever come out? That was another game I've been waiting for quite a while. But I haven't seen anything on it since the last.
No, I don't even know.
Indie at the beginning of the year or whatever. So okay, well there's another one. So I'd say Red Lantern. I definitely want to play that, and I haven't seen anything since the first announcement of that game.
I don't have one personally for me. I think a lot of them kind of are like coming out, like you said, like Little Town Hero, and Untitled Goose Game kind of didn't have a date for a long time. I will call out though to Shin Megami Tensei. That was announced back by launch, and nothing has materialized. I'm sure a lot of people are really waiting for that one. It's coming soon, but I haven't heard anything lately on Hollow Knight Silksong, which I would hope to see at some point.
That's right.
Soon. We got a couple months left.
Yeah,
here.
they haven't made any new announcements on that, which I'm also very excited for.
Yes. So this is kind of our, well, it's not a dead week. There is Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair, which is very cool. There's also Trine 4, which I want to check out.
That's right.
Just got code for that. And then after that, like you said, it's the Little Town Hero week. It's the Ring Fit Adventures, and then it's Luigi's Mansion. So this is your chill out and save money maybe week if you don't like Yooka-Laylee. I am going to be out of the continent until the 13th, so I will come back for those games. But yeah, enjoy.
You're not gonna pick any up for your travels? Or?
Well, I got Yooka-Laylee to continue. I just downloaded Trine 4,
good.
so I'm loaded up on the Switch.
You're good
with,
to go. Yeah,
with those two. Just hopefully they. I went through like a mass spree where I was like re-download all the games that are probably fun on Switch Lite, like Slay the Spire, Enter the Gungeon, Into the Breach, like grabbing all those on Switch Lite. I have a nasty habit of like packing and prepping this grand plan of all these games, and then I end up just sleeping on the plane. So it doesn't really ever.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Materialize.
So I have a question. So this far into the Switch Lite's release, real quick, how are you playing? Is it something where you are switching between games, like between your home console and the Switch Lite, or are you mainly just playing whatever games you wanted on your Switch Lite, or how does that look?
I feel like I am not the person to answer, because it's the recording issue that is jumbling everything up.
Oh, that's the problem.
So it's like,
sense.
Okay, like it's not that I want to play.
Right.
It's not that I want to play Link's Awakening on the OG Switch. It's not that I want to play Yooka-Laylee there, but like I can't capture it if I don't. So.
Oh, absolutely.
I will say that like I have not played my Switch to just like relax and play since I got the Switch Lite. Like there no longer seems to be much of a outside of recording. Like I would rather just play it on the Switch Lite. It's comfier. It's smaller.
Well, there you go. That's cool.
So,
yeah,
I
think
that's cool.
Yeah.
I think the fact that you even had the foresight to say you're not a good person to ask because you're forced to record on the OG Switch is very telling of how nice the Switch Lite is.
I can't say what it is, but I do have a thing coming up where the game I will have to record the Switch Lite, so that'll be interesting. So I'm eager to see how I'm going to make that work, especially since I have to like hold. I don't know. We're gonna have to pull out the Joy-Con with the
figure out
the fake tabletop mode. But that will do it for our show. Thank you for being here. We are all tired and busy, but wanted to say hi and bring you lovely news of Ponyta and 18 Gyms. And I mean, it's October.
It's a good day. It's a good day.
We should get clarification soon on some of that stuff. Like, you guys are the ones who told me. Like, typically they unveil the starter evolutions in October. So like,
it has to come. It has to.
I think
come
that's
soon.
why also so many people thought the live stream was going to have the evolutions. Yeah, it just made sense. But alas, they're saving it. That's fine. They're saving a lot, which is okay.
I just realized also I goofed. I'm going to Europe, and I'm not going to Galar. I'm circling around Galar, but I'm staying out of Galar. So no.
Oh man, that would have been so topical.
No Galar, but I will bring my Switch Lite to the French and introduce them to the coolest console on earth.
Never seen it. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. Have a fantastic week. Until next time, for myself, Joseph, Trip, and that Ponyta. Thanks again. Switch Force out.